Hi, this app lets you have an overview of the months on each page. You can create new months and switch between them with each tab. On each page, you can enter new record for your entry and exit time here and see the amount of work you've done in that day, see the overtime, the tardiness if you have, and you can put your expenses here. They will be added at the bottom of the page for the whole month, and you can have your description for each day. The total work of that day will be displayed at the bottom of the page. As a result, here the total overtime and work days, total tardiness, the total overtime minus the tardiness, and your total salary here. You can add your salary here and say it will be multiplied by the total work you have done. And each column is removable. You can switch or remove each column here in the settings, in the remove tab, or so you can have a quick switch between them if you want. And you can have a widget of the app here and enter your entry or exit time without entering the app. So I have this exit time here without entering the app. My current day has been recorded here. I've removed the exit column here if you notice. And now you have the exit time and everything in order. And the total information bottom of the page can be removed here. Also from the settings for your comfort display. And next I'll be showing how to have a accurate calculation, because that depends on your settings. When you enter the settings, the hours tab here show you how to calculate, for example, your exit time here. It tells you how much overtime you have. For example, at the bottom, if you set overtime based on exit time and you stay until 17, you have 1 hour overtime here because you set your exit time to 16. But if you set your overtime based on worked hours, and here total expected work hour is 8, if you work for that day is 9 hours, you will have 1 hour overtime. The next thing here is entry time for all day in new months. If you, for example, put exit time here to 18, if you create a new month, the new month will have that as entry and exit. See, my exit here is 18 because I set 18 for exit time here. And total expected work hour here will determine the undertime you have. If I bring the undertime column, I say remove expenses column, I bring undertime column. I will have undertime here in 0 because I have worked the 8 hours here, even over 8 hours, 10 hours. But if I bring one of the exit times to 15, here I have undertime of 1 hour here because I didn't work for 8 hours in that day. So I can remove that from the list. And the next thing in settings, I can have is Saturday also a weekend? Some people also work in Saturdays, so if I uncheck this, these Saturdays here will be like normal days, but if I check that, they'll be treated as weekends, and it will be applied for all the months here, so I don't have to check each month and set each day for each Saturday for weekends. If I tap on the number of the day, that day will become holiday weekend. And the purpose for that is sometimes some people have their holidays as overtime. If I check these holidays are overtime, every hour I work in that holiday will be counted as overtime. And the next thing here will be tardiness compensation with hourly leave. If I bring the leave column here, or day off column, let's replace that with overtime. Now my leave column here, let's say I have a tardiness of half an hour. Here I have half an hour tardiness. So if you tap on late, it will be automatically added to the leave, the tardiness you have, and your total work will be added. It will be added to your total work. But if you remove that, you see your total work will be decreased because you did not compensate it. Now if you say holidays are overtime, I think I told that it will be added to your overtime, the time you work in there, and overtime multiplier will be will multiply the overtime you have from a certain time to another time. For example, you have to have your exit time, your workplace exit time, stick before this. I mean, if your multiplier is from 20, you must have your exit time to 20, and then your 1 hour extra time, overtime you have, will be multiplied. Now here I must set my exit time of workplace to 20 and set my overtime based on exit time. Now if I stay here until 21, I will have the extra time. Let's put these to 0 so we can see the effects. Now I just have this day as my worked hours. Now I have stayed to 21. Now let's bring about the, now my entry is 8. I have worked 13 hours. I have overtime of 2 here instead of 1. My exit time of workplace was 8, but I have 2 hours instead of 1 because I had the multiply of 2. If I remove this overtime multiplier and restart, I will have here, I will have 1 hour multiplied. The same goes for overtime multiplier for holidays, is the same, and late multiplier, your tardiness will be multiplied. Some workplaces multiply the tardiness, and if you check this multiple time per day, you can have multiple entry time for each day. But since the UI will be changed on the next update, I won't show you because that will be changed in the next updates, and whatever I show you right now will be changed and will be useless. But with this you can have multiple entry time and exit time each day, and this auto backup will do the same thing here with backup everything, but automatically on your exit. If you check that auto backup, if you tap on this backup everything, you have all your months backed up in one CSV file. Then you can transfer that to another phone or just restore it later. You can save each month as Excel file. It will be the same as CSV format or HTML format to display on Google Chrome or something browsers, and you can import that CSV file. You can have multiple reports. For example, if I have August 2023 September 2023, if I, let's say 2000, you have to enter your date exactly with slashes and numbers. Anything other than that, it doesn't work. Let's say I want the dates from 2000 to 2030. I can then see total work or any months between these two dates. I have just one day entered, so I'm seeing just the result of one day. But it will show you if you have like 20 months in this between these two dates, you will see those results here, and the total work of that 20 months you just added if you hypothetically do that. And you can calculate salary here. So if you have worked for 13 hours, it will be multiplied to this 100,000, if you make 100,000 per hour, it will be multiplied to 13. It'll be shown to you. If you add anything here, it will be subtracted from the result, end result. And okay, the other thing you need to know about this is the work for the total work, pay by hour for the total work, not the overtime. You must put the same thing for your overtime, because some people have different number for their overtime. So if I enter that, I have 13 hours for my total work and 1 hour. It's total work plus overtime, so I have 12 hours for my total work and 1 hour for my overtime. So this total is the work plus overtime here. Now I have 13 hours, and as I entered here, 100,000 for my total work and 100,000 per hour for my overtime. So if I put 200,000 for my overtime will be different here. The total salary will be different because my overtime, 1 hour overtime, was 200,000. And next thing I'll be talking about employer feature. And if you're not employer, you can skip that. That was pretty much everything about the app. Now the next thing is shifts. Shifts. If you have different shifts, you can check this, and you can say my second shift starts from 15 to 21, and for Saturdays it's the same. I have to work for 6 hours for my second shift instead of like 8. So if you enter this, your second shift will be 6 hours. For example, if you have set overtime by a total work hour and you work just for 7 hours in your second shift, you will have 1 hour overtime in that period. And these shift days, if you put 3 here, it will be like 3 days with these times up for your shifts, and the other 3 days for the normal hours you put in your main settings. And the second one says shift days past. So the start of the month, if the start of the month is like the second day of your main shift, and you have 3 days for each shift, and let's say 2 days has passed from the previous shift that you had, 2 days have passed, you enter 2 here, and the start of the month will be just 1 day from the main shift. So if I enter here, you'll see I have 1 day remaining from my main shift, because I said 2 days have passed from my main shift for the start of the month. And then I have 3 days from that second shift that just put the one that said 6 hours for the total works, and 3 days the main shift, and then 3 days the second shift. And I said 2 days have passed from my main shift for the start of the month, so I just start with 1 day as the remaining. That's for the shifts, and the UI here, you can change the colors, you can change the transition of these UIs, and you can just show or hide the total labels bottom of the page or the columns here. That's pretty much everything. And if you want to add a user, I've pretty much covered this in the employer video after this, but you can say, let's say I remove my previous user. You tap on the top of this page here, and if you hold on the main user, you can rename the main user here. And you can change picture, you can add user here, add a new name, and switch between those users, like but by tapping on the avatar here. The new user have everything to themselves, every data, new months, everything will be related to those users and not the main user. You can switch between the users like this. It was the same user, you must enter the other user here. Now I have the other user. You can switch, you can hold on the user to edit it. Say I hold on Ali, choose avatar. I don't have any picture. Yes, you get the gist of it. You just change your pictures, remove or delete a user, and that's about the users. You can use the employer feature of Timesheet app to send data from employee to employer. For that, let's say this is the employer phone and this is the employee phone. The employee just goes and add a new entry and exit and add some descriptions. Okay, I have added a new entry. Now I go to employer and sync with employer, and I've just sends my data to the employer. Now employer just needs to go here and receive the employee's data. Here, the employee data just added is shown here. How to do it? Now the first thing you need to do is the employer needs to add the employees as user. Let's say I have 2 employees, James and Mike. Now I have 2 users as my employees. Next thing I need to do is go to employer and choose I am employer, first option, and create employees list. Now I see 2 names that I've just added. The next thing is for the employee to set up the employer on his phone. Employer is finished here. Now the employee first need to add some data. Let's say I add this month and say hi here as a description. Add some data here. Now as employee I need to go to employer and say I am employee here and enter the employer ID. This is the employer ID here. I need to add the same exact thing. I need to ask from the employer that give me the employer ID. So here I enter the employer ID. By whatever means, just get the employer ID, enter here and tap get employees list. When I tap on employees list, I'll see the names here that employer added on his phone. I need to choose my name from these as employee, a worker. Let's say I am Mike, and then sync with employer. Now my data has been sent to the employer. The next thing, employer needs to tap on receive employee data. Receive employee data as it's like an update of the informations. When employer tap this, he needs to go to the user. Mike was the user who entered his data. Now let's see the description hi and the data I have received here. And if James enters his data, like James here, I need to go and see James, and this is empty because James did not enter any data here. So employer will check the employee's data this way. And the next thing is the messaging. I can send a message here as notification. If I put message here and send this, it will be shown as notification to the employee's phone. If you enter message here, it will be sent to all the users. When you receive the employee data, when you push the receive button, it will be sent to all of them at once. Also, the employee can also send data when he's syncing with the employer. Can send data to employer in this field. When he push this sync with employer, the message will be sent as notification for the employer.